Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, a poetry discussion that comes to us from Emily Dickinson, and in as much, it will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel, both the poetry discussion playlist as well as the Emily Dickinson playlist. But real quick, first, guys, if you enjoy what I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out here on the channel. It tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel. Poetry, short stories, novel read-alongs. So if you would be so inclined as to look forward to those things, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more. Now, like I said, we are here for a little bit of Emily Dickinson. And Emily Dickinson is always a good time, even when it's one of these poems. This poem is a little bit different. Probably not one of the 100 best known, probably not one of the 150 best known, probably not one of the 200 best known. It was a grave, yet bore no stone, and it reads as such. It was a grave, yet bore no stone, enclosed 'twas not of rail, a consciousness its acre, and it held a human soul. Entombed by whom, for what offence, if home or foreign born, had I the curiosity, 'twere not appeased of men, till resurrection I must guess, denied the small desire, arose upon its ridge to sow, or take away a briar. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about a little bit in connection with this poem is a phrase that I had used, I think, just a couple videos back. It is, well, I got it written down here. The only difference between a rut and a grave is the depth. Basically, this is to say, if you find yourself having a hard time, if you find yourself digging holes in life, just keep going. Soon enough, it'll be a grave. If you find yourself digging a rut, if you find yourself in a rut, keep going, and you'll be done totally. Which makes me wonder what this poem is actually about. I think there are two ways to read it. Number one, not an actual grave. This is a dead walking scenario, which is sort of like that old phrase, the mass of men live a life of quiet desperation. Is this poem about someone who is not actually dead, but functionally so? Someone who is not living their life, someone who is, for all intents and purposes, gone, but not actually gone, someone who has forfeit their life. We get in the poem, it was a grave yet bore no stone. If you're looking at a person who is themselves the grave, if you're looking at a person who has essentially forfeit their life, they will bear no stone. They will just be dead. They will just exist in that state. They will just be no more. In this second stanza here, entombed by whom, for what offense, if home or foreign born, had I the curiosity, 'twere not appeased of men, sort of, I think, backs that up. Entombed by whom, for what offense? You've seen these people who are wearing their life on their sleeves, these people who are so burdened by existence that you understand that at some point in their life something had just gone wrong. People who take um, much of their troubles and woes and traumas, and instead of trying to get past them, they just succumb to them. Um, this is an ultimate sadness, right? This is sort of the thing that we all have to try so hard to get away from crusting over in that way. The danger there is immense and daily. You never know when something bad will happen, and how will you treat other people in the wake of that? Will you yourself crust over and be entombed? be the dead, succumb to whatever offense it is that is leading you down that road of mortality, that road of pre-mortality. The other sort of possibility I think that we could be looking at is an actual grave, but a grave with no actual stone, meaning it is an anonymous grave, meaning that someone had lived, done all of their living duties, proceeded through their entire life, and ended up in an anonymous grave, ended up in this place where there is no marking. Now, could this be a pauper's grave, right? Emily Dickinson probably is not in the correct country for that, but surely those things do exist here. A grave with it was a grave, yet bore no stone. I am tempted to go down the route of I died for beauty, but was scarce adjusted in the tomb when one who died for truth was lain in an adjoining room. He questioned softly why I failed for beauty, I replied, until the moss had reached our lips and covered up our names. Emily Dickinson does enjoy this sort of the opposite of Fight Club. In death, he has a name. His name is Robert Paulson. Emily Dickinson sort of inverts that and sees the beauty in anonymity after death, sort of fixates on what is it? What is it to be anonymous? What is it to have finished whatever it is that you have to do? I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Right? We have all of these examples of nobodiness popping up in Emily Dickinson, of an anonymity popping up in Emily Dickinson, and it's not really ever a testament to anything negative. Normally, it is a moment of transcendence in other poems. Remember, in I'm Nobody, Who Are You? What is the line? How public, how awful it would be to be public, to croak one's name the livelong day to an admiring bog, right? That's not an exact quote, but it is from I'm Nobody, Who Are You? Um, In this poem, however, that anonymity does not seem to come attached to anything positive. The anonymity seems to come attached to the curiosity, or perhaps lack thereof, for our speaker. Now, this is not to say that in the canon of Emily Dickinson, one thing has to be um, the same symbology, meaning throughout all of her poems, but a lot of the times she's very consistent with those things. But this, I'm wondering, what is the tone of this poem? What is the tone here? It's hard for me to get a grasp of until kind of here. Till resurrection, I must guess, denied the small desire, arose upon its ridge to sow or take away a briar. We get the sense from this final stanza that whatever it is our speaker is doing here, they are taking this mystery with them. And perhaps you never know when you're going to stumble through a writer's canon and come across found literature. And what I mean by that is simply maybe this is a real happening to Emily Dickinson. And if it is this the event that sparked um, this great conundrum of anonymity, this great question of anonymity and what anonymity means? Is this a sparking moment for our author to see these things and just let her imagination run? Because that's all there is. Sometimes the imagination is all there is. This is pre-internet. This is pre I don't know when the Dewey Decimal System was around, but it very, very difficult to find books in general in this world, let alone books about maybe a local graveyard, right? You're not going to find that. So this anonymous grave, if it is a real thing, did it spark that in Emily Dickinson? I don't know, but it's always fun to consider. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you enjoy what I do here, hitting the like button does me a lot of good on the channel. It tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers, and if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about. So consider hitting the subscribe button if you are yourself a literature lover, and I hope to have you back for the next one.